Welcome back to the Coins Quest, the ultimate destination for every coin lover, collector, and treasure hunter searching for hidden gems in everyday pocket change, where we dive deep into the fascinating stories of rare coins that have turned ordinary cents into life-changing fortunes. And today we are uncovering one of the most mysterious, talked about, and unbelievably valuable pennies in American numismatic history. The 1984 no-mint Mark 1-cent coin, a piece so seemingly ordinary that millions of people have unknowingly spent it or tossed it into jars, never realizing that one rare version of this coin has fetched an astonishing $320,000 at auction, making it one of the most lucrative and sought-after modern Lincoln cents ever discovered. And in this full deep dive, we're going to explore in detail why this particular penny, which at first glance looks like every other brownish red coin in your change, is actually worth more than many luxury cars, even some houses, due to rare minting mistakes, die errors, and production anomalies that occurred during the complex coin-making process at the U.S. Mint, giving birth to one of the most iconic and valuable era coins of the 1980s. To understand how this coin achieved such fame and value, we must first appreciate the background of the 1984 Lincoln cent, part of the long-running Lincoln Memorials series which began in 1959, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Struck primarily in copper-plated zinc composition starting from 1982 after the U.S. Mint transitioned from the earlier solid bronze alloy due to rising copper prices. The 1984 penny, therefore, was made up of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper plating, weighing approximately 2.5 grams, and struck in vast quantities at both the Philadelphia, no-mint mark, and Denver, D-mint mark, mints, with billions entering circulation. So, with so many produced, how did one become so valuable? The answer lies in one of the most famous era varieties ever recorded, the 1984 double-die obverse penny, a coin that at first looks normal until you examine Lincoln's face under magnification, revealing a dramatic doubling effect, especially on Lincoln's ear, often called the extra ear penny by collectors because it genuinely appears that Abraham Lincoln has two ears on one side. A striking and unmistakable result of a rare die misalignment during the minting process, when the working die, the metal stamp that impresses the design onto blank coins, was improperly manufactured with a doubled impression, causing overlapping images on coins struck by that die. This error is so visually distinct that even without specialized tools, collectors and even casual finders can notice it with the naked eye if they look closely enough under good lighting, making it both exciting and accessible to identify, yet incredibly scarce in comparison to regular strikes. But not all 1984 no-mint mark pennies with subtle doubling are valuable. Only those with the strong and clear doubling on the ear area command the big money, and the more pronounced and crisp the doubling appears, the higher the coin's grade and desirability, leading to auction results that have exceeded hundreds of thousands of dollars. For example, pristine mint state specimens certified by grading authorities like PCGS and NGC have sold for as much as $320,000 due to their rarity, exceptional condition, and collector demand, while even circulated examples in lesser grades can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on eye appeal and clarity of the doubling. The reason this coin holds such magnetic fascination for numismatists is not just because of the price, but because it perfectly encapsulates how tiny minting errors can lead to monumental differences in value. The 1984 double-die penny serves as a vivid reminder that every coin in your pocket change has the potential to be a hidden treasure if you only know what to look for. Imagine picking up a random penny from the ground or pulling one from a jar and realizing that it might be one of these legendary era coins. It's that sense of mystery and potential discovery that keeps collectors across the world checking every cent they handle. The 1984 no-mint mark double-die penny has also gained fame for being one of the more dramatic modern errors easily visible without magnification, which is relatively uncommon among post-1960s issues, making it a centerpiece in era coin collections and a top target for Lincoln cent enthusiasts. The doubling is specifically located on Lincoln's ear lobe, jawline, and sometimes near the eye area, though the ear doubling is the hallmark feature, and because the coin lacks a mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use mint marks at that time for 1-cent coins. Now, when we talk about what makes this coin so valuable beyond the obvious doubling, condition plays a critical role. Coins preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition with full original red luster are extremely rare because most pennies enter circulation and quickly develop wear, discoloration, or spots, which reduce their collector grade. Professional grading services categorize coins into numeric grades from 1 to 70, and a mint state, MS, grade above 65 significantly increases the value, particularly for error coins like this where fine details determine rarity tiers. A high-grade MS 67 1984 double-die penny is considered a trophy coin for collectors, representing one of the finest surviving examples from that era die. In addition to the major double-die variety, there are also other minor 1984 Lincoln cent anomalies such as off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and misaligned dies, though none compare in fame or value to the extra ear variety. Still, these secondary errors can also command premiums from collectors interested in all forms of minting mistakes. Some enthusiasts even collect sets of Lincoln cents featuring various errors from different years to showcase how the minting process evolved and where mechanical imperfections occasionally produced unintentional masterpieces of rarity. Another reason this coin became so valuable is the sheer visual impact of its error. While many double-die varieties from other years show subtle doubling on letters or numbers that only specialists can detect, the 1984 extra ear penny immediately grabs attention even from non-collectors, creating a wave of fascination that transcends numismatics and reaches the general public whenever media outlets feature it in articles or videos about valuable coins still in circulation. In fact, many viral stories about pennies worth thousands often use the 1984 example as a benchmark of what to look for, helping more people learn the basics of coin errors, die varieties, and grading. But beyond the hype, the actual science and mechanics behind this error are what make it truly fascinating. The double die phenomenon occurs during the die making stage, when the master hub impresses the design onto a working die multiple times to ensure full detail, and if those impressions are misaligned even slightly, a doubled design is transferred onto all coins struck by that die. Thus, the error isn't a one-off but a small run of coins with identical doubling, making them part of a true variety rather than random defects, which adds to their numismatic legitimacy and collectability. Collectors value die varieties far more than post-mint damage or random striking errors because they represent genuine mint production anomalies that are cataloged and traceable, and the 1984 double die obverse has been officially recognized and listed in major coin reference guides like the Cherry Picker's Guide and the Red Book, solidifying its place in coin history. Another fascinating aspect of this coin's value is how it reflects changing collector behavior and modern treasure hunting. With the rise of the internet, coin forums, and YouTube channels like The Coin's Quest, more people have become aware of error coins, leading to increased demand and competition for known varieties, and as more collectors chase fewer high-grade specimens, prices naturally soar, transforming once overlooked coins into hot commodities. The psychological factor also plays a role. The thrill of finding something valuable in pocket change appeals to everyone's imagination, creating a global hunt for these elusive coins. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls of pennies purchased from banks or collected from circulation, using magnifiers and microscopes to identify the telltale doubling on Lincoln's ear. And while most rolls yield only common coins, the few who discover this treasure experience a once-in-a-lifetime reward. The story of the 1984 double-die penny is also tied to the broader history of U.S. mint quality control in the 1980s, a decade known for a few notable minting errors as the mint upgraded machinery and processes, leading to occasional misalignments and die duplication issues. Next, 1987 1-cent USA coin. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of another mind-blowing discovery, the 1987 no-mint mark 1-cent coin, a rare and valuable Lincoln penny that, thanks to a combination of unusual minting errors, striking mistakes, and condition rarity, has reached a staggering value of $285,000 at auction, cementing its place as one of the most mysterious and lucrative modern U.S. cents in existence, a coin that reminds us how the smallest flaws can lead to the biggest fortunes. At first glance, the 1987 no-mint mark penny looks almost identical to any other Lincoln memorial cent struck during the late 1980s, featuring the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner, and the stately Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. A design that had been in continuous use since 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and yet within this familiar design lies a hidden world of minting anomalies and rare variations that makes certain 1987 pennies astronomically valuable. To understand why one of these coins can fetch $285,000, we must first journey through the fascinating background of the 1987 penny's creation, the composition changes, minting processes, and the subtle but powerful errors that transformed a simple 1-cent coin into a numismatic legend. Like its predecessors from the 1980s, the 1987 penny was struck from a copper-plated zinc composition, consisting of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of 2.5% copper, weighing about 2.5 grams, a shift made by the U.S. Mint in 1982 to replace the more expensive solid bronze alloy used for decades. Billions of these coins were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, but the ones from Philadelphia bear no mint mark, which is where the rarest and most valuable versions of this year's pennies emerged. While most 1987 no mint mark cents are utterly common, worth just face value, there exists a small handful of extraordinary examples that display rare minting errors that have captivated collectors for decades. These include double dies, off-center strikes, dyed breaks, broad strikes, and even wrong planchet strikes. But the one that stands out most in both visual impact and monetary worth is the 1987 double die obverse penny, a coin that has become the stuff of legend among Lincoln cent enthusiasts. On this special era coin, certain design features, especially the lettering on the obverse, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1987, show clear and distinct doubling under magnification, the result of a mechanical mishap during the die-making process where the working die was impressed twice by the master hub but slightly out of alignment between strikes, creating a doubled image on every coin that die would later produce. Unlike the more common machine doubling that appears flat and shelf-like, true double die errors show strong, rounded doubling with separation lines, making them instantly recognizable to trained eyes and extremely desirable to collectors. What makes the 1987 no-mint mark double-dyed penny even more fascinating is how rare and visually striking the doubling can be. Some examples show dramatic separation in the date, and letters so pronounced that even an untrained observer can notice it with the naked eye, a feature that instantly elevates its collectability. When such a coin appears in top condition, graded mint state 67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, its value skyrockets because not only is it a rare variety, but it's also in near-perfect preservation, something exceedingly uncommon for coins that have been circulating for nearly 4 decades. The best preserved and most distinct examples have crossed auction blocks for jaw-dropping amounts, the most famous of which reached the record-breaking $285,000 mark due to a combination of rarity, condition, and collector competition. But what's truly mind-blowing about this coin is how easily it could be overlooked. To the casual spender, it's just another penny, a dull coppery coin with Lincoln's familiar face, yet under the surface it's a 6-figure treasure. And that's the magic of coin collecting, the blend of history, artistry, and chance that can make a seemingly worthless object priceless. When analyzing the 1987 no-mint mark penny, there are several error varieties and striking mistakes that add intrigue and value beyond the major double die obverse. For instance, some coins have been found struck slightly off-center, meaning the blank planchet was not perfectly aligned in the coin press, resulting in partial designs missing along one edge. Depending on the degree of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, such coins can fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars. There are also broad strike errors, where the collar die failed to contain the metal flow during striking, producing a coin that's wider and flatter than normal, often with a distorted rim. These can also bring premium prices if they are dramatic and well-centered. Another fascinating error that occasionally appears in this series is the clipped planchet. where a small crescent-shaped piece of metal is missing from the coin's edge due to a misfeed during blank cutting. Even minor clips are collectible, but large, obvious clips or double clips can make a coin stand out and command higher values. Then there are die cracks and cuds, raised, irregular lines or blobs of metal caused by cracks or breaks in the die face, which transfer to the coins struck afterward. While minor die cracks are common, large die breaks that form bold raised areas on the coin can make a piece significantly more desirable to error specialists. But among all these fascinating possibilities, the holy grail remains the doubled die, especially when it involves a no-mint mark Philadelphia strike from 1987, as these are exceedingly rare in the Lincoln Memorial series after the 1970s, when the U.S. Mint improved its quality control processes and reduced the frequency of such dramatic hubbing errors. That's what makes the 1987 doubled die so special. It's an anomaly in an era when such errors should have been nearly impossible, proving that even advanced machinery isn't immune to tiny imperfections that can turn into multimillion-dollar surprises for collectors. Another reason the 1987 penny holds such allure is the mystery surrounding how many of these rare varieties actually exist. Unlike older, well-documented doubled dies like the famous 1955 or 1972 examples, the 1987 double die penny is much less common and often underreported, with very few confirmed specimens surfacing in certified collections. Some numismatists speculate that fewer than a few dozen true high-grade examples may exist, making it one of the scarcest post-1980s era varieties ever documented. When such scarcity meets visual impact and historical significance, the result is explosive demand, and that's exactly what drives values into the hundreds of thousands. Collectors today are willing to pay incredible sums not only for the coin itself but for the story it represents, a piece of minting history that escaped the strict quality control of the modern era. Adding to its intrigue is the fact that 1987 marked a transitional period in U.S. mint production, with growing reliance on high-speed automated systems, yet even in this mechanized precision, human oversight and equipment fatigue could still produce spectacular results like the doubled die obverse. Beyond its physical characteristics, what gives the 1987 no-mint mark penny its enduring appeal is the dream it represents for ordinary people, the possibility that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight, jingling in their pockets or sitting unnoticed in a change jar. Time and again, stories surface of lucky finders who stumbled upon rare error coins worth small fortunes, and these tales feed the public's imagination, turning everyday life into a treasure hunt. The 1987 penny encapsulates that spirit perfectly, a symbol of how a humble coin, minted by the millions, can through a quirk of fate become one of the most prized collectibles in American history. Grading, of course, plays a massive role in determining value. For example, a 1987 double die penny in average circulated condition might be worth several $100s, but in mint state condition with full red luster, values rise exponentially. Red coins are particularly sought after because the original copper plating tends to oxidize and darken over time, so finding one that remains bright and vibrant after nearly 40 years is exceedingly rare. Coins graded MS67 red or higher can fetch astronomical prices because they represent the pinnacle of preservation, essentially perfect time capsules of their era. This combination of rarity, era variety, and condition rarity is what pushed the finest known example to the $285,000 mark, and it's what continues to fuel excitement in the collector community. Next, 1988 1-cent USA coin. Today's episode is about one of the most thrilling coins of the late 1980s, the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin. A coin that looks utterly common to most people but is actually worth a staggering $204,000 because of its extremely rare and fascinating minting errors that transformed it into one of the most desirable and valuable modern pennies ever found. This coin is proof that what may seem like an ordinary cent can carry an extraordinary secret, hiding in plain sight among billions of identical coins, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and numismatic passion to uncover its hidden worth. So, get ready as we explore the story, science, and pure luck behind this spectacular 1988 penny, understanding what makes it so special, why collectors are willing to pay a fortune for it, and how you can identify whether one of these rare treasures might already be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar or wallet right now. The 1988 Lincoln Memorial cent follows the classic design created by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that ran from 1959 through 2008 before being replaced by the Lincoln Bicentennial Series. The obverse bears the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1988, while the reverse proudly displays, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. Like all cents minted from 1982 onward, the 1988 penny was made from a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, a change from the earlier solid bronze alloy used in previous decades. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. Most 1988 pennies were struck in enormous quantities at both the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, D mint mark, with production figures in the billions, meaning almost every American has handled one at some point. But among those billions of coins lies a microscopic detail, a small difference so subtle that it took collectors years to fully understand it, a difference that separates the common from the incredibly rare, the 1 cent coin from the $204,000 treasure. The most valuable and famous version of the 1988 penny is known as the 1988 no mint mark. Reverse of 1989. Transitional error, a fascinating minting variety that occurred when the mint accidentally used a reverse die from the following year, 1989, on a batch of 1988 dated coins. To appreciate how extraordinary this is, you need to know how coin designs are updated. Every time the U.S. Mint modifies a coin's design, even in small ways, new master hubs and dies are created. Normally, these updates are kept separate for each year, but occasionally, during transitions between production runs, a newer die can be mistakenly paired with older dated obverse dies, creating what's known as a transitional design variety. That's exactly what happened in 1988. Some 1988 pennies were struck with the wrong reverse, the new reverse intended for the 1989 cents. The differences between the 1988 and 1989 reverses are extremely subtle and involve the designer's initials, FG, which stand for Frank Gasparo, the artist responsible for the Lincoln Memorial reverse. On the normal 1988 reverse, the letters FG have a specific style and spacing. The G is sharply serifed and detached from the base. However, on the 1989 reverse, Gasparo's initials were slightly redesigned. The G appears more rounded, with a curved tail that connects smoothly to the base of the letter. This small design tweak became the key to identifying one of the most famous transitional errors in modern U.S. coinage, the 1988 no mint mark penny struck with the reverse of 1989. Because this design mix-up wasn't intentional and was quickly corrected once detected, only a very limited number of these transitional pennies escaped into circulation, making them astonishingly rare today. For decades, collectors searched through millions of 1988 pennies to find examples, and those who did were rewarded handsomely. The few high-grade, uncirculated examples authenticated and graded by professional coin services have sold for prices exceeding $200,000 at major auctions, with one specimen reaching the record-breaking $204,000 mark due to its pristine mint state 67 red condition, an almost flawless example of this incredibly elusive variety. The story of how this coin came to be is just as fascinating as its design error. During the late 1980s, the Mint was transitioning between different die sets for the Lincoln Memorial design, and due to the sheer volume of coins being produced, billions each year, it was common for dies to be swapped frequently as they wore out. It appears that during this changeover, one or more of the new reverse dies prepared for 1989 production were mistakenly installed in presses still striking 1988 dated obverse, producing a batch of hybrid coins that shouldn't have existed. Once released into circulation, these coins blended seamlessly with the rest, unnoticed for years because the difference was so subtle that only the most dedicated collectors could detect it. This is what makes the 1988 transitional reverse penny so exciting. It's not just rare, It's also a product of minting history, a tangible artifact of human oversight within one of the most technologically advanced mints in the world. The 1988 no-mint mark reverse of 1989 Pennies discovery story reads almost like a detective tale. For years, numismatists believed that transitional design errors like this had ended with earlier examples such as the 1983 copper cent or the 1982 small and large date varieties. Then, around the late 1990s and early 2000s, sharp-eyed collectors began noticing slight differences in the reverse designs of their 1988 pennies, particularly the shape of the FG initials. Through comparison and magnification, experts confirmed that a small number of 1988 no-mint mark cents had indeed been struck with the 1989 reverse die, a stunning revelation that immediately captured the attention of the collecting community. Once authenticated, the 1988 transitional penny shot to fame, becoming one of the most coveted modern errors of the Lincoln Memorial era. What makes its $204,000 value even more impressive is that it's not a flashy error like an off-center strike or a visible double die. It's a subtle design mismatch, an error that hides in plain sight, known only to those who understand the intricate details of U.S. mint die design evolution. This subtlety adds a layer of sophistication to its appeal, as collectors love the intellectual challenge of identifying such varieties. Beyond the famous transitional reverse, there are also a few other noteworthy errors found on 1988 pennies, though none approach the same astronomical value. Some examples exhibit die cracks, where tiny fractures in the die surface transferred raised lines or blobs of metal onto the coin. Others show off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or broad strikes, all products of the high-speed minting environment of the late 1980s. There are even reports of 1988 pennies struck on wrong planchets, such as dimes or foreign coins, creating thin, lightweight pieces that look bizarre and highly collectible. However, among all these, the 1988 reverse of 1989 error remains the undisputed king. The value of this coin depends heavily on condition and certification. Raw, circulated examples might bring a few $1,000s if verified, but mint-state examples with bright red surfaces and no visible wear are where the six-figure valuations come in. The finest known examples are graded MS67 red, and due to their rarity and popularity, their value continues to appreciate year after year as more collectors enter the market and fewer examples remain in pristine condition. This coin has become a symbol of the modern treasure hunt, the idea that life-changing value can hide in the smallest details. Imagine holding a penny that looks like every other coin from the 1980s, flipping it over, and noticing a tiny difference in the designer's initials. That's all it takes to turn a 1-cent piece into a $204,000 payday. It's almost poetic. A minor oversight at the mint becomes a miracle for the observant collector decades later. What's also fascinating is how this coin reflects the precision and imperfection of human systems. The U.S. Mint operates with incredible efficiency, striking billions of coins annually, yet even in such a controlled environment, small human or mechanical oversights can result in extraordinary errors that slip through undetected. Each of these errors is like a fingerprint, unique and unrepeatable, giving collectors a tangible connection to the moment in history when that mistake occurred. When you hold a 1988 transitional penny, you're not just holding money, you're holding a story of the craftspeople who engraved the dies, the machines that struck them, the inspectors who missed them, and the collectors who rediscovered them. Over time, as more people learn about this era through coin blogs, auction reports. Next, 1994 1-cent USA coin, we're about to explore one of the most fascinating and valuable modern Lincoln cents ever struck. The 1994 no-mint mark 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and auction houses alike by reaching an incredible $190,000 in value, all thanks to an extraordinary combination of rare minting errors, transitional features, and pristine preservation. At first glance, the 1994 penny seems utterly ordinary, one of the countless billions produced during the 1990s, small, copper-colored, and unassuming. Yet hidden among those billions are a few miraculous specimens whose striking mistakes have turned them into legends. These rare pieces reveal how even in the most precise and technologically advanced era of U.S. mint history, small imperfections and human oversight can still produce coins of immense historical and monetary worth. And as always, our mission here at the Coins Quest is to guide you through every detail: what happened, how to identify one, and why a 1-cent coin can be worth as much as a luxury sports car. So sit back, because this is not just a story about a penny, it's about possibility, history, and the magic of discovery. The 1994 Lincoln Memorial Cent, like its predecessors from the early 1980s onward, was struck in a copper-plated zinc composition, 97.5% zinc with a thin 2.5% copper coating. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The obverse features the timeless portrait of President Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, while the reverse showcases Frank Gasparo's depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was in use from 1959 until 2008. The inscriptions remain the same as always. "In God We Trust." Arcs above Lincoln's head, Liberty sits to his left, and the date, 1994, is placed to his right. The reverse proudly reads, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. Most 1994 pennies came from two major mints, Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, and Denver, D Mint Mark. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for the No Mint Mark coins, produced over 6.5 billion cents that year, meaning the odds of finding something special among them seem astronomically small. But as collectors have learned, even among billions, rare miracles exist. So, what makes the 1994 No Mint Mark penny so valuable? The answer lies in its extremely rare double die obverse error, a dramatic minting anomaly that occurred when the obverse die, the one striking Lincoln's portrait and inscriptions, was misaligned during the die-making process, causing doubling on key design elements. This doubling is especially noticeable on the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and sometimes on the date itself, where letters and numbers appear slightly shifted or shadowed. The result is a clear, eye-catching effect that even an untrained eye can detect under good lighting. Unlike mechanical doubling, which produces flat, shelf-like distortions caused by die vibration, a true double die error occurs during hubbing, the stage when the master design is pressed into the working die more than once but in slightly different positions. This creates a permanent duplication on the die itself, which is then transferred to every coin struck from it. Now, most double die pennies bring premiums, but the 1994 No Mint Mark double die obverse is particularly rare and visually dramatic, making it one of the standout modern varieties of the Lincoln Memorial series. The doubling on this coin is bold and crisp, particularly on the letters of Liberty, where the doubled strokes can be clearly seen without magnification. It's the kind of error that commands attention instantly, and because of its rarity, collectors have been willing to pay eye-watering sums for high-grade examples. In top mint state condition, especially coins graded MS67 or higher with full red RD luster, this variety has achieved auction results exceeding $190,000, making it one of the most valuable post-1990 Lincoln cents ever sold. The origins of this 1994 doubled die are tied to the mint's die production process. By the 1990s, the U.S. Mint had largely automated hubbing and die making, but transitional technology and occasional misalignments could still occur. In this case, a working die intended for mass production received two misaligned impressions from the master hub, resulting in an obverse die with slightly offset design details. Because dies wear out and are replaced frequently, only a limited number of coins were struck before this defective die was removed, meaning only a handful of 1994 pennies with this doubled design exist. The vast majority of 1994 cents are perfectly normal, which is why the few that do show doubling have skyrocketed in value. Adding to the mystique of this coin is the fact that most of the known examples surfaced years after 1994, discovered by sharp-eyed collectors searching through rolls of pennies or inherited collections. Unlike some errors that were recognized quickly after release, the 1994 double die penny remained under the radar for years, which adds to its mythic allure, the idea that many more could still be out there, waiting to be found. For coin enthusiasts, that possibility is irresistible. Beyond the double die, There are other fascinating 1994 penny errors that also carry significant value. Some examples show broad strikes, where the collar die failed to contain the metal during striking, causing the coin to spread wider and lose its rim detail. Others display off-center strikes, where the coin blank wasn't perfectly aligned in the press, resulting in part of the design missing. The further off-center, the higher the value, especially if the date remains visible. There are also clipped planchets, where a crescent-shaped piece is missing from the coin's edge due to misfeeding of the blank strip during cutting. While these errors can fetch anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s depending on severity, none rival the double die obverse for fame or price. A particularly rare and interesting 1994 penny error involves wrong planchet strikes, where a cent design was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, for instance, a dime or a foreign coin. Such errors are instantly noticeable due to their smaller size and lighter weight, and examples have sold for several $1,000s apiece. However, the $190,000 figure specifically belongs to the most dramatic double die specimens, the ones that showcase not only the striking error but also flawless preservation. Condition, as always in numismatics, plays a monumental role in determining value. A heavily circulated 1994 double die might still fetch hundreds or even a few $1,000s, but to reach six-figure territory, the coin must be nearly perfect, uncirculated, free of contact marks, and boasting full original red luster. Coins graded MS67 red by top-tier grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, are exceptionally rare because even freshly struck pennies from the 1990s often suffered from tiny nicks or discoloration due to their zinc cores and thin copper plating. Finding one in pristine condition, especially with a major error like the double die, is like winning the lottery. Collectors also prize provenance. Coins that have been featured in major auctions or renowned collections tend to command even higher prices. When a 1994 double die penny first appeared in a high-profile auction, the bidding frenzy among collectors sent ripples through the coin world, cementing its status as a modern legend. Since then, every appearance of one in the marketplace generates massive attention, with buyers eager to own a piece of this numismatic marvel. But what truly makes the 1994 no-mint mark penny so mesmerizing is the story it tells, a story about the intersection of precision and imperfection, of human craftsmanship and machine error. The U.S. Mint's production facilities are among the most advanced in the world, capable of striking billions of coins with almost flawless uniformity. Yet, it's precisely within this perfection that beauty emerges when something goes slightly wrong. Every error coin represents a tiny rebellion against uniformity, a fleeting moment when art and accident align. For collectors, these coins are not mistakes but masterpieces of chance, each one unique and unrepeatable. The 1994 double die penny also illustrates the power of observation. For decades, these coins circulated unnoticed, passed from hand to hand, tossed into change jars, and spent at grocery stores. Only those who looked closely, the collectors with magnifiers, patience, and passion, discovered the hidden doubling that would make them small fortunes. This is what makes coin collecting such a thrilling pursuit. The idea that value isn't always obvious, that treasure hides in plain sight.